Donald Trump has told a rally at a U.S. steel plant in Pennsylvania that he intends to double U.S. steel import tariffs to 50%. The president said the increase would offer the country's steel industry more security and vowed to stop any countries getting around the new rate.
Another new tariff turnaround from President Trump, announcing on Sunday he will delay his plan to levy a sweeping 50% tariff on the European Union just days after declaring them because, he said, trade talks were going nowhere.
It happened quietly. Not with a press conference, not with an announcement from the White House, not with a policy victory or a headline that screamed success. It happened in a series of boardrooms, earnings calls, and internal memos. And by the time anyone noticed, it was already too late. 5 major U.S. companies just confirmed what many feared, but few wanted to admit. They are leaving. Not because of labor costs, not because of technology, but because of tariffs. Because of a trade war that was supposed to make America stronger, but instead is driving some of its most iconic brands out of their own backyard. And the cost? It is far greater than anyone in Washington is willing to say out loud. Before we continue, hit that like button to help us beat the YouTube algorithm and to show your support. The first signal came from Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart, the largest retailer in the United States, the bellwether for American consumers. This week, Walmart's executives did not mince words. They said tariffs were strangling their margins, that they could no longer absorb the costs. And starting this June, Walmart would raise prices across U.S. stores, not just on electronics or luxury items, on food, on essentials, on everything. But that was not all. Walmart also revealed it was slashing inventory orders for thousands of products, cutting back on volume, delaying restocks, even pausing contracts with some suppliers. Why? Because the cost of doing business in the United States under current trade policies was simply too high. As one executive put it, there is very little room left to maneuver. The second came from Detroit, General Motors and Ford, 2 titans of American industry. Both companies pulled a move that stunned analysts. They withdrew their full-year financial guidance. They told investors they could no longer predict the future. Why? Because the tariffs had turned raw materials into roulette wheels. Because they did not know if next week's vehicles would cost 10% more or 50%. Ford has already begun pausing some production lines. General Motors is trimming its investment plans. Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep and Chrysler, laid off 370 workers in Indiana. Their statement was clear, because of the president's tariffs. The third was louder, more symbolic, more surgical. Harley-Davidson, the brand draped in red, white, and blue, the motorcycle that has roared down American highways for generations. They are moving 3 models. The Panamera, the Sportster S, and the Nightster will no longer be built in Wisconsin. They are being moved to Thailand to escape tariffs, to avoid a 60% import duty imposed by foreign governments, to qualify for tax breaks they cannot get at home. Harley says it is just a market strategy, that it is about growth. But workers in Milwaukee and Menominee Falls call it what it is. Outsourcing driven not by cost of labor, but by cost of policy. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button to show your support to the channel. The fourth blow came from Peoria, Illinois, from the yellow machines that build America's roads and dig its foundations. Caterpillar, the heavy equipment manufacturer, announced it was taking a $250 million to $350 million hit this quarter alone due to tariffs. And that is just the beginning. Their new CEO said it clearly. We are evaluating long-term mitigation actions. Translation, they are considering pulling operations out of the United States. Maybe not the entire company, but enough to survive because right now tariffs are making it more expensive to build a bulldozer in America than anywhere else in the world. And the fifth? It is not a machine. It is a brand, a symbol. Nike, the footwear giant, told retailers this week that it is raising prices in June $2 to $10 per pair because of tariffs. Because over half of Nike's shoes are made in Vietnam, and those imports are now subject to duties up to 46%. So they are scaling back promotions, cutting discount programs, and telling customers, get ready to pay more. 5 companies, 5 different industries, all delivering the same message. Tariffs are not protecting American jobs, they are destroying them. And those are just the ones that spoke out. Others are moving quietly. Polaris, the maker of Indian motorcycles and off-road vehicles, also withdrew its forecast this week. Their reasoning: we can no longer plan with confidence because of tariffs. Target is closing underperforming stores and cutting orders because shoppers are tightening belts as prices rise. And the supply chains? They are unraveling. Executives at multiple multinationals say off the record that they are shifting more operations to Mexico, Vietnam, and Thailand. not for cheap labor, but for policy stability. Because tariffs are no longer predictable, they are weapons, and no company wants to be the next collateral damage. This is not a phase. This is not a negotiating tactic. This is an exodus, and the consequences will not be measured in lost profits. They will be measured in layoffs, in shuttered factories, in shrinking product lines, in American consumers paying more for less. It is happening now. One supplier for a major retailer said it bluntly, "We are being forced to choose between raising prices or leaving the U.S. market." For us, the answer is leave. That is not an outlier. That is a trend. And yet the rhetoric continues that tariffs are a show of strength, that they punish foreign cheaters, that they help the American worker. But the truth? The truth is playing out in closed warehouses, in canceled contracts, in managers telling crews there is no shift tomorrow, in communities watching long-standing employers disappear. Even large companies are scaling back logistics hubs and shipping routes that no longer make sense under the new tariff regime. Import costs are unpredictable. Customs processing has slowed, and the uncertainty alone is making long-term planning impossible. Tariffs are not just taxes on products, they are friction across every part of the economy, and friction burns. Ask the suppliers who can no longer hit margins. Ask the farmers who cannot find export markets. Ask the truckers losing routes. Ask the manufacturers now competing with tariff-free competitors overseas. They will all tell you the same thing. This is not working. And here is what few in Washington are willing to say. Some of these companies may never come back. Once a plant is relocated, once a supply chain is rerouted, once a foreign investment is made, that decision rarely reverses. And even if the tariffs are lifted tomorrow, the damage is done. Because now businesses are learning that Washington can change the rules overnight, that a single announcement can cost them millions, that their entire model can be shattered by policy volatility. And so they are adapting by leaving, not in protest, not in defiance, in self-defense. And if the goal was to bring jobs home, the result is the opposite. We are watching them leave in real time. The most shocking part? It is being normalized. When a company as big as Walmart says it will start raising prices and cutting orders because of tariffs, and the market shrugs, that is not resilience, that is resignation. When Harley-Davidson moves iconic motorcycle production offshore and it barely makes headlines, that is not strength, that is erosion. When General Motors, Ford, Polaris, Nike, Target, and Caterpillar all say in the same week that they cannot plan ahead because of tariffs, that is not politics, that is collapse. And it is spreading. More companies are watching this unfold and quietly making plans. Plans that do not involve new U.S. factories or hiring in Ohio or expanding in Michigan. Plans that mean fewer options on shelves, fewer shifts on the floor, fewer jobs in small towns, all in the name of protectionism. But who is being protected? Not the workers whose factories are going dark, not the consumers whose bills are going up, not the small businesses caught in the crossfire, not even the government, which now faces lawsuits, global backlash, and rising inflation tied directly to these policies. The truth is brutal, and it is this. You cannot tariff your way into prosperity. You cannot punish the global economy without punishing yourself. You cannot expect loyalty from corporations while turning their operations into political minefields. And you cannot claim victory while your supply chains are bleeding. 5 major companies told us the truth this week. They are leaving. They are scaling back. They are raising prices. They are hedging their bets. And if nothing changes, they will not be the last.